Hey, welcome back to Anti-King. It's been a minute. I was assigned to mandatory military service for the great nation of North Korea. Now, actually, I was working a really intense job, then I got sick, then my wife got sick, then my dad died, so it's been a pretty eventful holiday season for me. Regardless, I wanted to come back and make at least one more video before the end of the year, and I figured what better way to end it than to make a top 10 list of my favorite horror movies of 2022. 2022 was a fantastic year for horror. I mean, honestly, I can't remember a year as stacked from top to bottom as this one in a long time. So much so, I had a hard time coming up with a lot of this list. So many different things belong on here. A theme amongst my favorites emerged pretty clearly, and that's acting. It's crazy to see how far the genre has come in that regard. The 80s would literally pull people off the crew for like large speaking roles. As much as I miss some of those downright strange performances, it's amazing to see the genre feature some of the most outstanding actors giving the most captivating performances of the year. Just look at some of the actors that will appear in this list. Maya Goth, Jenna Ortega, Sebastian Stan, Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, Georgina Campbell, Keke Palmer. Honestly, I could make a whole list just listing some of the dynamic performances we saw this year. Not only that, but it was an incredibly strong year for the writing side of things too, with unique takes on genre classics such as Nope and Barbarian. We also had a little bit of a rebirth of the Final Girl, with people like Goth, Ortega, and Terrifier 2's Lauren Lavera. So with that out of the way, let's get into it with number 10. I'll start by saying this was the hardest number to pick. There's about 5 different movies that could have ended up here, and it was honestly a toss-up all the way up to the moment I started recording them. Amongst the ones that almost made it was Shudder original Deadstream, Korean zombie flick The Sadness. I went with Hellraiser, however, for a few reasons. Although the movie certainly has its flaws, I feel like its strengths outweigh them. The acting in this movie is superb, and it was really nice to see this return to form as such a huge fan of the franchise. This movie really exceeded expectations for me, despite it relying a little bit too much on CGI for my taste. But here's to hoping there's more practical effects in the inevitable sequel. Again, another movie featuring stellar performance by an outstanding cast. I can't really call it a return to form, however, because I don't really think Scream ever went anywhere. The TV series is garbage, despite its weird little cult following, and Scream 3 has some of the dumbest plot devices in movie history. But even in those instances, it's hard to call it downright bad. The big three return in a satisfying and nostalgic way, and despite them doing Sidney Prescott's actress Neve Campbell dirty, I think Scream 6 is in good hands with Jenna Ortega going forward. Absurd and surreal, and packed with heavy-handed themes and repulsive visual language, Min is a very typical A24 horror, despite being anything but typical in a broader sense. People hated this movie, and I can't fathom why, honestly. It's a surrealist nightmare from start to finish, anchored by an incredibly grounded performance by our lead, Jessie Buckley. Most of the disappointment I've seen is from people comparing it unfavorably to some of Alex Garland's other works, which I don't think is fair to this movie. On its own, it stands as a very strange, very uncomfortable, but nonetheless entertaining work of horror. I'm not sure what I could even say here that hasn't already been said. Jordan Peele is a genius, and this is another testament to that. I'm not sure if it being this low will be controversial or not, honestly, but I really only put it this low because it's not a straight horror movie. And I'm not saying that it's not horror, it definitely is, but it dips its toes into so many other genres, it feels weird trying to compare it to some of the other movies on this list. All that being said though, excellent movie, definitely worthy of a spot on this list. Poor Justin Long. I mean, honestly, his character deserved what he got in this one. And I have to say, I didn't love this one at first. I'm gonna try and avoid spoilers here, but if you've seen it, you know the trailers and the movie pulled a little bit of a bait and switch. And as a result, one of my all-time favorite actors was only in it for a few scenes. I think I would have liked it more if they were in more of the movie. But also, there's no denying that this was easily one of the better horror movies of the year. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie, and honestly, I can understand why. The thing is 20 minutes too long, and 2 of the acting performances are fucking awful. All that being said, anyone that watches this channel semi-regularly knows how big of a fan I am of practical effects, And wow, was this chock full of. Damien Leone is a master of his craft. This movie really solidifies art as one of horror's all-time icons, while introducing what is probably the best final girl in the last 20 years in Sienna Shaw, portrayed expertly by the lovely Lauren Lavera. Luckily, the two worst actors are dead, in the movie, not in real life, I don't think. And hopefully they drop the weird sword stuff for the next sequel. Man, what a year for Ti West. X is, on surface level, both an ode to and a masterclass in the classic slasher. Digging deeper, the movie explores themes such as the fleeting nature of youth and life itself, and how our individual impact on the world, or perceived lack thereof, can really shape who we are as people. It explores what makes art obscene, and whether that is a moral reprimand on the art itself or the person viewing it. Amongst all these cerebral themes, we get excellent performances from Mia Goth, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi, Jenna Ortega. I mean, really, the whole cast is stacked. It's crazy that a movie with this much sex can also be such a thought-provoking and existential work. Probably the earliest release on this list, Fresh seems to get forgotten in a lot of these best of discussions I've seen, and that's a travesty. Sebastian Stan's performance alone makes this movie indulgently creepy. It's outstandingly deliberate in the way it flips certain genre tropes on its head, and truly presents something unique and daring, while building a world that you want to know more about. In a year full of movies taking big swings, it's possible Fresh does so with the most success. I don't think I ever could have anticipated how good this movie is. And while I know it certainly won't have the same impact, this is essentially Gen Z's Scream. The acting is stellar throughout, the atmosphere is tense, and the writing is just on an entirely different level. It's irreverent and hilarious, and pokes fun of perceived generational stereotypes without ever feeling preachy or out of touch. And the twist at the end is probably my second favorite horror movie moment of the year, trailing only a moment from number 1. I was obsessed with Mia Goth going into this movie. She has such an ethereal quality about her, and I truly believe she is the best actor in the industry right now. And by a lot. Her unbroken 8-minute monologue at the climax of this movie is easily the most impressive thing I've seen in a horror movie, at least this year, if not ever. And that's not even really mentioning some of the strong suits of this movie, with a beautiful and complicated visual language, helping to project and expand on some of the themes introduced in X. Try as I might, I honestly could not find a single thing I did not like about this movie. It's an absolute 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and an instant classic I look forward to watching over and over again over the years. So that was it. That was my top 10 horror movies of 2022. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What was your favorite horror movie of this year? Let me know in the comments. I think if you had told me at the start of this year that this list wouldn't include Halloween Ends or the new VHS movie, I would have called you a liar. But man, both of those were such letdowns. Which, by the way, my opinion on Ends has not softened at all over time. Fuck David Gordon Green. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna try and put out some more videos now that my life has kind of settled down, and I already had some plans. Season 2 of Horror You Probably Slept On will continue into 2023, since I only did 2 last year, and I already have 2 of them written and plenty more planned. So I'm also working on more musical stuff. I'll actually play a clip of one of the songs after this, and I'll figure out some way to turn those into videos for this channel too. Also have a few underappreciated career of videos lined up, as well as a ton of other non-horror content I wanted. So thank you guys for watching this year. I've had a blast. If you enjoyed it, please stick around because there's a lot more of that kind of stuff to come. On that note, Happy New Year and stay safe.